Welcome to the Lean Out Your Business podcast, a show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs accelerate business growth and simplify success. I'm your host, Krista Grasso, and I've been working with businesses for more than 2 decades to help them lean out and optimize what's working while eliminating anything that's not adding value. So if you are ready to get more time back in your day, more profit in your business, and to do business differently, growing and scaling on your terms, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. Today, I'm excited because we don't just have one guest, but we have 2. So today, I'm joined by Katie Collins and Jeffrey Samorano, and we are going to be talking all about how to have a highly effective launch in your business, which I know is something that's near and dear for every single one of us. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about them, and then we are going to dive into all of the good stuff so that you can set yourself up for really effective launches and success with everything that you have planned coming up in the next 90 days. So today's guests, Katie and Jeffrey, along with Jeff's wife, Aleyah Swan, founded the Launch Squad as a way to help solopreneur coaches and course creators launch the right way without having to do it all alone. They help their clients stay in their zone of genius while the squad members each show up in theirs. So there's a very holistic approach to building a repeatable business model that produces dependable income, which is what we all want. So, Jeffrey, Katie, welcome. I'm so excited that you are here and to be diving in and talking about launching today.
So glad to be here.
Yes, Krista, thanks for having us. We're excited. This is going to be an awesome conversation.
I know there's so many directions that we can go with this with launching, but I think the first place I'd love to start is from your perspective, with your depth of experience in this. What do you see as kind of the key ingredients or the key factors that actually make for a successful launch?
I'm like, who's going to go first?
Yeah, the one. No, there's not just one. I'll start out by saying that there's actually 3 keys and 2 layers, and this is kind of a concept we've been dialing in over the past I don't know, 2 or 3 years here, that we've kind of distilled down this launch to three key elements and 2 layers. And we can dive into that. Katie, do you have any more to add to that?
I was going to answer with the same thing. So why don't you share the key elements? I would call them phases.
Phases is good. Yeah. So basically there's the 3 phases is the lead magnet, having a lead magnet in place. The second phase is a live event of some kind of live, interactive and engaging event. And then a solid and researched offer. And then the 2 layers is basically you plan and build it. And it kind of sounds obvious, right? But there's when you start unpacking the planning phase of it and the building layer of it, like they really kind of do evolve, and there's a lot more to it. So you can't avoid them, is basically why we're putting them in there. So one of the key elements to this also, and why we've laid that out in such a way, is to help entrepreneurs create continuity. Everything has to link together and be a cohesive narrative. Katie, I know you have way more to add to this.
Well, yeah, like under the word plan, we used to say the word strategy, and sometimes that scares people off. So we're like, we just plan it out, right? And inside the plan, there's strategy.
Right.
Right. But that's exactly what Jeffrey was just talking about, that cohesiveness. Like one of the mistakes we see people make is, they watch launches and then they want to mimic the launch they watched. And you can't mimic what you don't understand. And so they mimic, oh, I see. So you start with a free gift and you build your list, and then you invite them to a live event, and then you make an offer, right? Okay, easy peasy. I can do that. I don't need any help, right? I'm not going to hire anybody because I'm going to wait to hire until I make money, right? Let's like, it's riddled with mistakes right there. But let's just say, and so one of the mistakes is that people then throw out any lead magnet that they have that attracts a general, or even the worst is when they say, well, I have a lead magnet on my website, so I'll just use that one. And so, a lot of what we're teaching people is it's a specific free gift that's going to encourage or create that demand and desire for the next step. And that, and these are mistakes that we made. So as we dissected our own launches before we even became the duo of the launch squad, I had launched myself. And when Jeffrey and I met up in the online space, and I was like, oh my God, help me with this tech stuff because I'm overwhelmed and drowning. And I have like one single VA who's looking for me to be a leader, and I don't know what to tell her to do or how to problem solve anything, right? So that to me is another mistake, is expecting a virtual assistant to sort of be the launch manager when they only know as much as you can share with them or tell them, unless they have significant launch experience, which 9 times out of 10 they may not. So there's just a lot in that strategy piece to make sure you're bringing in the right leads, and that's why that first phase, and we're calling it the attract phase, is rooted in attracting the right buyers. Right. And it just comes back to that word right, like launch right the first time. It starts with bringing in the right buyers at the beginning of your funnel. Very, very important.
Yeah. And I want to throw in here that oftentimes when an entrepreneur is kind of first investigating this idea of launching, they often don't see the lead magnet or that attract phase as part of the launch. They see somebody do a product, Jeff Walker's product launch formula. And it's about sending out an email and then following that up with a bunch of more email. You know what I mean? Like they see that as the launch, or they do a live launch and they see, oh, all of this stuff in Facebook, right? So they see the live event as the launch, and they often miss that the launch actually starts with that attract phase.
Yeah, there's so much that you said there. And being that I help people with strategic planning, this is music to my ears, and I love everything that you're sharing. But what I see happen quite often, sometimes when people will come to me and they end up really frustrated, is they've done exactly what you said, and they tend to wing it and kind of just put it out there to see how it lands instead of actually planning it. And you're right, they miss the whole attract stage. They're looking at the surface level, what they see other people doing, and they don't get the context of why they're doing it or all the things that are actually happening behind the scenes that you don't see. So they're trying to mimic, and sometimes they aren't even mimicking the right steps because you can't see all the steps. Or they just toss it out there to see how it goes. And then we'll come back and be like, well, I put it out there and people just aren't interested in my offer. And it's not that they're not interested in your offer. You just didn't actually build what you needed to. You didn't build the demand for it. You didn't do any of those pieces. So
and I just want to like comment on that real quick, because I feel like that's another example of like what I always refer to as a safe problem, quote unquote safe, right? Because if I just throw it out there and don't take it so seriously, my results won't break my heart so much. Right. And like, I'll be happy with what I get. But those are the people that kind of lug along year after year, wanting to make more money, but never putting the stake in the ground to be like, I'm going to do this 100% the right way. Right. Like, so I just think it's really important to point out to the listeners, because that if that's you, right, if you're somebody that's like, well, at least I put it out there. It's like, yes. And what would life be like if you had a strategy behind every single action you took before you launched?
And a
what would the
system
results look like?
underlying all the strategy.
Yeah. You're combining my two favorite S words there. Throw simple in, and we've got the perfect trifecta. We've got simple, strategy, and systems.
Loving it.
I love it. All right. So let's say somebody's like, oops, maybe I have been kind of doing that. Maybe I've been like going through the motions and launching, but as I'm listening to them talking, I'm realizing maybe I haven't actually fully gone out and done all the right pieces. And maybe there's some money I'm leaving on the table or some opportunity I'm leaving on the table. If somebody's ready to put that stake in the ground and say, you know what, I'm going to do this, I'm going to go all in, I'm going to do it right, and I'm going to really set myself up for the best possible results, what do you recommend?
I first want to jump in here really quick and say, from a compassion perspective, don't beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up, right? If you've tried to do this, if you've put yourself out there and you didn't get the results you wanted, it's not really on you. Like if you just went forward, there's a lot of pieces, right? We try to simplify it. We really do. But to be honest and truthful, there's a lot of pieces to consider, especially if you're trying to build a system that you can use over and over and over and over and over again, right? Putting pieces in place and having the forethought to have systems in place. It's kind of a it's a it's a big project. It's a big project. So it's not clear when you visit somebody else's launch and you're going through somebody else's launch, you're only seeing the surface level stuff. There's a world underneath that is helping that run, helping support it. So it's not on you. Be okay. Calm down. It's okay. You
Ah,
did all right.
but to also answer like the direct question, the first thing that came to my mind
Mhm.
is what everybody loves to skip because it sounds like it's time consuming and they
Oh
already know
yeah,
everything about their ideal client, but
here it
it's
comes.
market research interviews.
Yes.
I'm not talking put a post in a group of 80,000 women and say, "What's your biggest challenge when it comes to blah, blah, blah?" Right? Because those 80,000 people are not going to give you strategic answers because you don't know if those 80,000 women, if you serve women, for example, are your women, right? Like
Mhm.
all sorts of needs and wants and desires. For example, a dating coach, are you a dating coach, a relationship coach, or let's get you married, like soulmate coach, right? You're going to be talking to 25-year-old women who are dating and 45-year-old women who are dating very differently. So asking what your biggest challenge is to a group that has women from 18 to 85 is not helpful, right? Market research interviews is when you actually set aside time to get on a Zoom call and have very specific questions, 20 minutes, record it if you can't type fast, and type their responses because that is absolutely what informs the rest of your system. It informs
Everything.
your marketing, it informs your offer, it informs your bonuses, it informs the event you're going to have, the title of the event, the bullet points, everything. And so for everybody that sits here and says, "Oh, that takes too much time," we're here to say it's always been worth its weight in gold. And it
It
is
is the
what's missing from
foundation.
everyone's
Yep.
stuff. Yeah.
If
Yeah.
anybody walks away with anything from this interview, it's to buckle down and do some market research.
Yeah, and this is honestly part of why I'm so excited that you're here and why I wanted to have you on the show because you don't share a lot of the same things that other people say of just get it out there, just do it quick, do it fast, do it.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
and we hear that and it's very enticing in a lot of ways, but the problem is you're not setting yourself up for success. And it's one of those things where when you take the right step and do the market research, like you're saying, and like the rest of the process, that I'm sure you'll be walking us through the system, it's really going to set you up for success. So you can go do it quick and get subpar or disappointing results, or you could do it right and get really exceptional results.
Mhm.
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 I want to touch on that because I'm a little bit of two minds about that. And I, I, you know, I think there's a time and a place for quick and dirty. I really do. But I think that's for when I think of quick and dirty, it takes me back to the whole agile development scenarios and things like that, where you have a team of technical people that are able to iterate technology and manipulate technology in a very quick way to get results. to me, that's great. I can do that. I can manipulate technology so that I can get fast results, make iterative changes, do it again, do it again, do it again. But if you don't have a technological foundation and you can't manipulate the technology, then that's a very, very difficult task, right? Unless you have a team to do it, right? But so I'm kind of on two minds on that, because yes, it can work really well as long as you are capable of manipulating the technology in a way that works for agile development. And when I say agile development, it's like running ads, making landing pages, or whatever, right? It could be anything across the board of a launch, um but oftentimes entrepreneurs, if you're a coach or course creator or something like that, you don't have that, technology background. So that process becomes hard. And when somebody's out there saying, just get it out there, just get it out there, well, you might spend a lot of time to get one thing out there. And you're like, wait a minute, now I got to do this all over again. That wasn't quick at all. Right? So I'm kind of on two minds here. Yes, it does work really well, but there are conditions, right? And so most people don't satisfy those conditions. So this other approach actually gets you better results. And that's taking the time to do the research, it's doing your homework, it's crafting an offer that's irresistible to the people you can serve, right? And that takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Slow
and
down to speed up.
Exactly.
completely. And I
Exactly.
am actually an agile expert. I'm a certified scaled agile implementation specialist. I've spent many, many
Boom.
years implementing agile in companies. Some of you listening know me through my agile background. So the fact that I'm telling you to do it this way should tell you something, because I'm all about MVP. I'm all about testing things out, but there's a
Yes.
time and a place, as Jeffrey shared.
Yes.
And this is one of those times when you really do want to do it right. And there are pieces to be agile on. You mentioned Facebook ads, right?
Mhm.
You are going to test a lot of different ads. You're going to get
Yep.
things out. You're going to see what works. There's
Yep.
certain things that you do, but you don't skip the important stuff. And one of those important pieces is something you just mentioned, right? So you talked about the market research, which is great, but then there's also having an actual irresistible offer itself.
Mhm.
So what are some of the mistakes that you see people make, or some of the things that people could do differently that would make their offer more irresistible?
Besides the market research, um, no, I truly, number one, it's understanding that your offer is not just your program. There's
Yeah.
so much more involved in what your offer is. And I think a lot of people, again, they misunderstand. And so we've learned to stop asking the question, are you all set? Do you have your offer ready? Yep. I got it
Yeah.
ready, and then we go to launch and we're like, oh boy, no, they didn't have that ready at all. So now we've got a system and a checklist of questions people need to answer. Right. So at the root of the offer, it's just complete clarity on who it's for. Like I said, if you're a dating coach, what's the age group and what are they really stressed over at that time? Often 25-year-olds aren't necessarily stressed about putting a ring on it. Right. And maybe 45-year-olds aren't either, because maybe they've divorced and they're like, I don't ever want to get married again. Like, but just understand, who are you trying to serve? A woman who wants to get married or a woman who doesn't? Because your pain points are going to be very different. And when you try to market to women who want to get married, but even if you don't want to get married, and if you want a lesbian partner or if you want a polyamorous relationship, this is all for you. It doesn't land the same. You really have to niche down and pick one of those groups and go with it. So that's number one, is understanding your group. And then understanding truly the problem they're worried about, not the one you think they are worried about, right?
Mhm.
What's keeping them up at night? And then what is the solution they're looking for versus the solution they need? I remember hearing James Wedmore teach about this. It's like your client has a headache and it's from dehydration. And you're like, here's some water. And they're like, I don't want any water. Do you have any Tylenol? I have a headache. So we know they need water, but the client only knows that Tylenol is the solution at this time. So your marketing either needs to change their mind and make a case for the water and then sell the water, or sell them what they want, which is like relief from the headache without giving away your solution that they don't want, that's not on their radar. They're not looking for it. They're never going to buy a solution they're not looking for.
Yeah.
So understanding their language and how to pitch it and how to educate them to understand, where you take a stand for something, right? And the whole vehicle and domino belief thing, like, what do you believe is the fastest, best, easiest way to, the transformation, and selling them on that. And usually you're doing that with your lead magnet. So that's why they're all aligned. And then the price point. And, a lot of people get stuck in their head, especially if it's their first course, well, it's my first one, so I'm going to just do, say $297. And I used to be a high ticket sales coach. So I'm always like, what's your audience size right now? What's your audience size? If you were to launch today, is it likely that you're going to get, because I'll have a launch calculator, and, to make the goal you want to make, you need 800 leads coming in. Do you have the chance to have 800 leads? Well, I've got 250 people on my email list. Okay. So the answer is no, unless you're going to run ads. And even then, right? You might not get there. So why not come up with an offer that has a price point that can match your sales goals? And then you can whittle down a course out of that bigger offer and sell it later on for $297 or higher, hopefully. But really determining your price point shouldn't be based on what you think you should be selling it for, or what you think people will pay. It's more like, what is the transformation you're offering and how much are people willing to pay for that?
Yeah.
For a woman to get pregnant, they're willing to pay a lot of money for that transformation. They couldn't care less if this is your first course that you've created. And if you sell a course for $297 to help a woman get pregnant, 9 times out of 10, she's going to go, I don't know, that's probably just a tip of the iceberg thing. I'd rather a deeper transformation, right? I'm on a time clock here. It's ticking, So really get out of the money mindset of all this crap that you've got going on around pricing, and actually create an offer that is a price point that will lead to a transformation people really want. And those are like the 4 components. If you've got that dialed in, and then you have bonuses on top of that that are strategically chosen to either address a desire or a buyer objection. No more of these, oh, well, and I'm making fun of myself here. Let's see, I've got a recording of a book club I did. They can get all 10 of those recordings. And it was somewhat aligned, but still not quite there, right? So none of this willy-nilly stuff, but really strategic. A lot of people put, 9 bonuses on their sales page. It's like the presentation gets messy because of so many bonuses. It does you more harm than good. So what if you pick 3 or 4 awesome bonuses that people look at your bonus and say, well, that's worth the whole price of the whole program. Those are the bonuses you want. So that's the essence of that irresistible offer.
Brilliant. I love it. And one of the things, I still remember this one woman who had launched a program, and she had marketed her bonuses as, you couldn't possibly finish these in an entire year, thinking that she was giving so much value that there was all this content. And I was like, you just lost me right there. I want something that's super targeted, super specific. I'm going to get in, I'm going to get what I need quick. The last thing I want is to sift through so many bonuses that I couldn't get through them in a year. No, thank you. And I think that for a newer, somebody who's doing this for the first time, or who's serving a newer market, sometimes quantity can feel like it's really attractive. But especially, I don't know if you find this too, as you move up to a more seasoned buyer, that's actually a detractor. We want the opposite. We want the thing that's going to get us the result quick. And all of that extra stuff says, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. It feels too clunky, and overwhelming, right? So if they're overwhelmed or they're confused, and Krista, I had a coach that told me to do exactly what you had said in the beginning, just put it out there, just go for it. And while I'm really grateful for that experience, because it did plunge me in, right? And like, it gave me my first launch, and it gave me a bunch of mistakes to talk about for the rest of my career, all in 2 launches. And I learned so much, but that was one of my problems, was I was mimicking I took a course and, it was stack the bonuses and, slash the price and add the value. And this is the value, ding, 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 a little bit of that bro marketing sort of stuff in there. And people that I really cared about that were in my funnel were like, I just got overwhelmed by all your bonuses. It just got so confusing by the end. I didn't want to listen
Yeah.
anymore. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow, okay.
Yeah.
Even though this other person who taught me has made $9 million in like a single launch, that just didn't work for my audience. And so I think too, like the market research and really getting to know your people and hearing, if I hear my people say over and over, I hate bro marketing, I
Mhm.
hate sleazy sales, then it's really important for me to show up in that heart-centered way, including my offer, including my bonuses, and try to not have it come off sleazy at all because it's going to completely turn off the people I've been bringing in. So all those little nuances, they take time. They take time and they take feedback. And, I think I heard you say when people's launches don't go well, they make up a story. Oh, nobody wanted my offer.
Mhm.
And I am always the first to be like, let's put a pin in that thought for just a second. Let's look at all the other reasons why somebody may not have bought and you may have the perfect offer. Let's start with where your leads came from. Let's start with, what your event did. We've led events before where they were overwhelming. Like we
Mhm.
left people with such overwhelm, they felt paralyzed to get started.
Yeah.
Right? So you think you're giving so much value, and in reality, you might be doing the exact opposite, like you had said. So,
Mhm.
yeah. Anyway, tons of
Oh, yeah.
stories we create in our mind about, what it all means. And you just have to have thick skin and ask people, why didn't you buy? Or why didn't
Mhm.
you sign up for my launch? Free event. How come you didn't make the time to come? And just hear what people say without the defensiveness. That was a big lesson for me.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. I can think of, I mean, pretty much everything that we've said here, I've done at least once, if not multiple times, um,
Right.
because
Yeah.
I think we all do that. And so, if you're just about to launch something new, know that you don't have to repeat any of that. You can do
Yes.
something
Yep.
different.
Yep.
So,
Yes.
tell us a little bit more about how you work with your clients and what you do, and anything that you're really excited about that you have coming up.
Yeah. Jeffrey, do you want to talk about like our kind of biggest thing, the partnership program?
So we have a couple of levels. So we have of course we have a Launch Squad Academy course where you can kind of mostly learn about the whole process from start to finish, what's involved. And on top of that, and in addition to that, we have an entire partnership program where not only are we helping guide you through it, but we're doing a lot of the work for you. Tech is a huge barrier for a lot of people, and we basically just take on the tech. And we have Katie's going to have the whole plan strategy from start to finish, making sure everything's aligned and everything like that. And then once you have the plan in place, the next phase, the next layer really is to implement it and build all the things, building your lead forms, your triggers, your automations, the sequences. When are they going to do this? When is this going to do this? And like it's looking at the entire journey from marketing and lead generation, from attracting to inspiring to inviting. Let's do the whole journey on 2 layers. And that's kind of our partnership flagship um, program.
Yeah, that's a year long. And we essentially are launching people 3 times, or we're going to launch them twice and do an audience building campaign, like a summit or something with them. Again, doing all the tech for them and with them. Um, because I knew right from the beginning, I did not want to be a company that helps somebody launch once.
Yeah.
Because 9 times, I'm going to say 10 out of 10 times, your first launch isn't quite the lucrative one you were hoping for.
Yeah.
And so we really strategically help people set goals and understand what numbers mean, right? Stop saying, I want a $30,000 launch, put it into the launch calculator and find out how many leads you need, and then determine, is that possible for you? Right. And if not, then let's adjust a little bit. But part of launching right, quote unquote, the first time is that you have all these systems in place and you can flip a switch, add a few other things that make it better the next time and do it again. So, you're not, we're not saying you have to only launch twice a year, but that our support is that we're going to help you launch, 2 to 3 times. So that we can just see with the metrics, because Jeffrey uses a program that allows us to see real-time metrics. So how many people landed on the opt-in page, and how is it converting? And we're looking at that on a daily basis, so we can go back and update the landing page if it's not converting, right?
Yeah.
But looking at all of that and looking at the data at the end, what was your email open rate? For these sales emails, how many people clicked to the sales page? Okay, this email didn't do very well. We're going to rewrite email number 3, completely scrap it, write it again, right? Things like that. That's what people hire us for, is that strategic support. And then the kind of excitement to say, it's okay, I'm doing it again. Right. Like
Yeah.
that, this, and the reason why it's a year is because it does take time to do the market research and to build your offer. And so even people that come to us with a course, we're happy to start where they are with what they have, but sometimes they're missing pieces, and we'll say, go into the course and watch this one thing. We got to
Yeah.
fix this one thing, right? So we don't demand everybody start at the beginning, but we do want them to start with a successful launch, with all the right pieces in place. And yeah, so that is our flagship. But we just created the Academy, which is a 3-month course with us, and then the Elite Squad, which is 12-month mastermind with us. And so it's a little bit more hand-holding to actually really prepare your launch and do it, and maybe do it a couple of times and come back to us. We don't do the tech for you, but you've got the tech consultant right here. And so a lot of people are like, should I pick Kajabi, or should I pick Podia, or should I pick Teachable? And so Jeffrey he's familiar with them, and he can answer their questions based on their needs, how many courses they have, what they already have that's existing. Can they capitalize what they already have and not buy something new, right? So we're trying to save
Yeah.
people money, cut down on the tech. What do you call that, Jeffrey? Like the
The tech bloat, man. There's
bloat.
the tech bloat is a real thing. I don't even know how many times somebody's hired me for tech consulting, and it's like, well, why do you have this, and this? They're all doing the same. Did you know they're all doing the same thing? And it's like, okay, well, I just actually saved you $300 a month, so I hope that was worth it just in that session.
In perpetuity is
Yeah.
something I always say, right? Like, you just think about that. It's not like $300 a month for the year, right? Oh, and then that course is done or that program's done. It's like for the rest of the life of your business,
Yeah.
you're paying $300 a month. So do you need to?
Yeah.
Is that necessary, right? Or can we step into that when you've got your systems in place and you've got a bigger bucket of audience and that kind of thing? So yeah, so we really dig the small mastermind setting, like one of our mottos is like, we serve people, not numbers.
Yeah.
We don't care about metric numbers. I mean, we care about how our stuff is converting, but we don't care about how many followers we have and how many likes and how many group members. That's just never our thing. We just want the right people near us asking the right questions so we can give them the right answers and move them forward. And I've been a member of large group programs where I know the mentor does not even know my name,
Yeah.
and I've been a part of small group programs where there was strategy but no support. And that's really how the Launch Squad came to be, was that I had just come off of spending $30,000 on a strategist with zero support. And that investment left me cash poor, and I could not hire to do the things that this coach was telling me to do. And so I didn't get the results either, and I don't regret that investment, but I just thought, man, if someone's going to invest that much money in their business, I want to be the person that provides both.
Yes.
So that's what we
Brilliant.
do.
And that's how
Where
we
can
teamed
people
up, really.
Yep.
Absolutely. Now, where can people find you?
Our handle is at the Launch Squad Lab, and our website is thelaunchsquadlab.com. And we spend most of our time on Facebook. We dabble a little bit in Instagram because our team tells us we have to, but Facebook is our preferred home. And we've got a group, the Coach's Path to Consistent Cash. So that's what we're hanging out. And we've got a live event coming up sooner than later, how to create and host a lucrative launch. So it's a 5-day event. And so you can get on the wait list for that as well.
Excellent. All those links will be down below in the show notes. So make sure that you check out their incredible work if you have any launches planned in your business. So, final question, and I can't wait to hear, maybe you can each answer or you can fight over who's going to answer it.
We
How
like
do
that
you
the
work?
most.
Yeah.
How do you work smarter, not harder, and keep things lean in your business?
Oh boy. That's an easy
Oh my
one.
gosh. Go ahead, Jeffrey. Take it
Yeah.
first.
Zapier and text expander and yeah, I rely heavily on software to make my life easy. I've been doing this kind of stuff for 20 years, and I this sounds awful, but I feel like I'm the most efficient guy on the planet just because I am lazy. I am purely lazy. So I find software or actions or triggers and sequences, Integromat, Zapier, like I'll when a client comes to me and says I want to onboard, boom, I go and fill out my own form that I know triggers the form creation, the invoice creation, the Google Drive folder structure. Like I'll go do that because it's all done, right? I put a system in place and I just walk away.
I love it. I feel like we could totally geek out on this for days on end.
Oh my
Yeah, I
God.
feel like the podcast
Seriously.
just
And
started.
Jeffrey helped me so much. I did so much by hand. I didn't, you don't know what you don't know. I didn't understand. I was in active campaign, still am. I just didn't even understand the difference between lists and tags. So I've got like 45 lists in there for like every launch I've ever done.
We're still
So
cleaning those up.
he's cleaned that up. Yeah. But for me, the first thing that came to my mind was really hiring team.
Yeah.
Because I worked as a proud solopreneur for a really long time. And I was like, I am capable of doing all this myself, and I'm going to do it better than anyone I hire. And a couple times that I hired people, I proved that right. But Jeffrey also helped me learn how to like train people and give feedback and whatnot. So I think when you have the right team that's behind the vision that you have, that shows up in the same values that you have and treats your clients the way you would treat your clients, those team members help me remember what, I'm in there loading up email campaigns and I'm like, why is the CEO of the Launch Squad loading up email campaigns right now? Like there is definitely someone lower on the pay scale that can do this for me and do it well. And if I really want to micromanage, I can ask them to put it in draft form so I can take a look. Right. But getting people to start things for us and then we can give feedback and move the project along has really supported me in working smarter, not harder. And just like take off that solopreneur hat for the rest of my life. I will not work without a team.
Amen.
That was, I think, my biggest mistake, doing that for a good 9 years.
I think that's a lot of people's biggest mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And you had said something there that I think is really important, is you proved yourself right. And a lot of people, their reluctance to team is nobody's going to be able to do it as well as me. Nobody's going to care as much as me. Nobody's going to. And unless you really do learn how to be a really great leader, how to hire well, how to develop and give people space to actually learn how to hire people who are bought into your vision instead of expecting it to magically happen after the fact. It's once you learn how to be a really good leader and build that team, you'll have a very different experience. But until then, you will prove yourself right. And so just like we said before, slow down to speed up. I feel like you need to also really invest in that because you're investing in your success and things no longer being dependent on you. So you can do more of what you love. So absolute brilliance. All right. Thank you so much for being here. There was so much value that you packed into this interview. So thank you both. Everyone, please check out those links down below in the show notes. I hope you loved this interview as much as I did, and I will see you again next week. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. I hope you got a lot of value and actionable insights from today's show and would love if you take a moment to leave us a review. If you have any questions on today's episode or on how to lean out your business, join us over in our private Facebook community where every week we do live training and Q&A, and I'd love to have you be part of the conversation. head to leanoutmethod.com/group to join us. And before you go, be sure to subscribe to the show so you're the first to know when we release a new episode. We'll see you next week.